What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another live stream on High Altitude Investing. Today is the 12th of February, 2026. It's a good day to be streaming. Happy to be back on the live streams and talking about crypto. Pretty excited about what we're going to be covering today. A lot of things to cover, some important key factors with this market, some stuff to be looking at, some stuff to be watching with crypto. So let's share the link here on X and on my Discord, and we'll get started. Happy Thursday. Normally I say happy Friday, but I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. It kind of depends on if there's anything important happening in the markets, because I got some other stuff to work on as well. But I did feel like doing a stream today. Felt like I was ready to hop on a live stream, and so here we are. What is up, Vision Pulsed Fat Boy? Pepe is about to explode top 10. It definitely could. Operation Shutdown. Dallin, thanks for the stream today. Well, thank you for tuning in. Do you really think alt season is coming? Yes, I really do think alt season is coming. Boomy says, hey, what's up? What is up, Boomy? Thank you for tuning in. Or is that Boomel? Boomly? Or Boomy? It's hard to tell from here. Hey, Dallin, thanks for dropping these live streams. You're awesome. Well, thank you, King J, for tuning in. Do you think Bitcoin will make a lower low? We'll have to check on that. We'll have to cover analysis on Bitcoin in just a second. I'll kind of tell you what I think is going to happen. Mr. Intellilist, what is up, my friend? Pulse Chain season coming. Future Dreams 2K. Hey, bro, love from India. When full-blown alt season? Or will it start? You know, we'll talk about that in just a second as well. Brother Boldly Official Music, what is up, man? Thank you for tuning in, even if you're being a hater. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, let's talk about crypto. People forget what's truly important. They focus on all the wrong stuff, man. Right now we're in a 5 on extreme fear. So you're talking about the markets being extremely oversold, like crazy oversold right now. Like we haven't been this oversold ever. So the drop when Bitcoin hit 14K per coin after going up to 69,000. So when Bitcoin did this over here, let's switch to the daily. When Bitcoin did this correction here from 69 down to like 15K right here, 14, 15. The fear and greed index hit like a 6 or 7 or something like that. Let's see what it says here. An 8 on the fear and greed. So you're talking about Bitcoin being more oversold right now than it was right here at 15K per coin. That just kind of goes to show how many people are being totally irrational. Just ridiculous. They don't have a level head. They're panic selling. Imagine selling all of your Bitcoin right here at 15K, then watching Bitcoin go up to 126,000 because you were scared. That's what a lot of people are doing right now. We're at a 5 on the fear and greed. You're talking about not only is Bitcoin undervalued right here at 65,000, but go look at some of your favorite altcoins. Like, it's crazy how undervalued the market really is. Like, let's see, what's a good example? Well, we could literally do any altcoin, any of them. But just for the sake of example, let's pull up like Digibyte, okay? One of my favorite ones to look at. Let's pull up Digibyte here, and we'll go to, I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. Look at Digibyte. Digibyte pumped right here in 2017, right here in 2021, but it hasn't pumped ever since. So look how oversold Digibyte is in relation to its previous old all-time high. You're talking about being down 90% plus from the peak in 2021. So that's a huge opportunity to be buying Digibyte down here And we're on the market cap chart, so it shows 73 million in total market cap. But also, if you were looking at the price instead of just the market cap, you'd see how good of an opportunity this is. Now, the thing about these markets, the crypto markets are fractal in nature. In fact, all markets in the world are fractal in nature. So you get repeating geometry, the same types of patterns appearing over and over in the market. But the thing about a fractal is a repeating pattern that's self-similar in the microcosm and the macrocosm. So for example, if you have a triangle here, a fractal would be like a bunch of little triangles inside of a triangle. See, there's this big triangle right here, but then you have all these little triangles too. So the mini version and the mega version are the same shape, it's just a different size. And if you put another triangle right here, you see a bunch more triangles. So that's what a fractal is. It's a geometric pattern that's self-similar across all time frames, even different scales, the macrocosm, the microcosm. Now, if you look right here on Digibyte, this is Digibyte's first market cycle that's significant enough to care about. Right here in 2017, we had a big pump, big pullback, all the way back down, like huge correction, right? Well, if you look at this market, what did it do? It went up, it pulled back, and then it pumped again, right? That's what this is right here. But if you look, it did the same thing again right here. So this right here is a bigger version of this right here. It's a fractal of the same thing. Yeah, this one's bigger. It's a bigger formation than the previous one, but it's still a fractal of the exact same thing, of this same move right there. But if you look right here, look, this is an even bigger fractal of the same thing. So this right here, this big crash on Digibyte, same thing as this. Same thing. In fact, it's just a bigger version that's taking longer to accumulate. This right here, I just grabbed this from right here. You can see. Just stole that. And we can take this and we can put it right here. Look how similar that is. It's the same thing. So these markets are appearing, you're seeing fractals appearing in these markets over and over again. You're just getting different sizes of the same cycle. See, this is a fractal. This is a fractal right here. That's what Digibyte is doing. So Digibyte just being one example of an altcoin that is stupid undervalued. So not only is Bitcoin in extreme fear right now, you're talking about just a totally perfect opportunity to be picking up Bitcoin. Like really good buy. But also Digibyte, just as an example of one altcoin, is the same. It's so undervalued. It's a fractal of the same thing it did in its last cycle. Buying down here is like buying right here at the bottom of this correction here before we had a big pump all the way to a new all-time high. It's just a bigger version of the same thing. So I do believe Digibyte will turn around, just as one example of an altcoin. I know a lot of you guys have different altcoins in mind when you're thinking about your favorite altcoins, but just to teach you guys about these fractals, Digibyte is so undervalued. So Bitcoin, crazy undervalued. Digibyte, crazy undervalued. That gives you an idea of just how undervalued the whole space really is, because the whole space is just crazy dirt cheap right now. Other BTC is close to 0.13. Oh, I already read that one. Let's see here. Aaron Disher is calling for 31K Bitcoin. Thoughts? You know, screw Aaron Disher. I don't care what he says. You know, 31K per Bitcoin? In other words, he's calling for it to come all the way back down to here. Like, that's pretty unlikely. Let's go from even just Fibonacci retracement wise. Every other Bitcoin bear market that we've ever seen, Bitcoin falls to the 786. So if you look right here, going from this low to this peak on Bitcoin, it fell to the 786. And even this previous cycle, I'm on Binance, so it doesn't show the whole cycle. But even this previous cycle right here fell down to the 786 before it recovered. So let's pull up Bitcoin USD here. That's like to say that Bitcoin's going to go to 31K is so out of touch with anything Bitcoin has ever done historically that that's just totally ridiculous. Here's Bitcoin's cycle in 2017. We fell down to the 786 when it crashed in 2018. So, and then look at this cycle over here. Let's pull up it on Bitstamp because we got to use Bitstamp to go back to the 2014 cycle. Here's Bitcoin in 2014 and 2015. From the bottom to the peak, it fell down to the 786. So to say that Bitcoin is going to fall below the 786 this time is ridiculous. That is so dumb. Like if you pull from the bottom here to the top, like the lowest I could possibly see Bitcoin going is about 40K per coin. And that's only if for some reason it goes like down just continuously. Like the fear and greed index is at a 5 right now. Like the idea that Bitcoin is just going to go whoop like that. I mean, it's possible, but it's pretty unlikely with how oversold everything is. But even if Bitcoin was to drop lower than the 618 here, like let's say Bitcoin falls below our bottom here, 61K, the lowest possible price target for Bitcoin is going to be the 786. Not 31K, that's ridiculous. That's so low per coin. You know, maybe 40K right here, but not 31K. And 40K is still kind of ridiculous to call for when we're at a number 5 on the fear and greed index right now. So historically, Bitcoin has never fallen below the 786 all the way down like that guy's trying to call. So I think that's completely ridiculous to say that. Hello, Dallin, starting to accumulate Ethereum. If you could look at it, I'd really appreciate it. Sure. Let's go to Bitcoin real quick. I wanted to finish talking about Bitcoin on Coinbase here. So we're at major support right now, you guys. See this major support level? That's where Bitcoin is testing right now. We're on a major support level. This is a major area of resistance along the way up here. This is where we topped out at 69K in the last cycle. This is where we rejected at 72 along the way up. This is a major area of support. So Bitcoin should see some type of a reaction off of this green box. Some type of a reaction. Now, I believe that we'll see one sooner rather than later. A number 5 on the fear and greed. It's ridiculous to be a Bitcoin bear. For the people right now that are so bearish that they're calling for just a straight drop down to like 31K, for example, like that guy. Totally ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense at all. Historically, we've never fallen below the 786. We're on major support right now for Bitcoin. Like this market is oversold. It's not overvalued. It was overvalued up here at 126,000, but now we're at 65K. Like this is not an opportunity to be a major seller, to be selling all your coins. Especially, like I said, with altcoins. Let's pull up Ethereum. Ethereum's a little bit more like Bitcoin here in terms of the cycle and stuff. It doesn't look like some of the other altcoins that are just crazy oversold, but it's very oversold in relation to its previous peak. So here's our previous old all-time high right here, major resistance up here, and we're very oversold in relation to that level. And if you pull up the daily chart here, actually the Elliott waves are showing us that we completed a 5-wave structure. So we have wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 like this. Then we have our ABC correction down. So wave A, right here, B, and C. So that's a classic 5-wave structure followed by an ABC correction. We're at the bottom of a channel here for Ethereum as well. So if we pull up our parallel channel tool, go like that. Let's move this over a little bit. There we go. You can see that we're at the bottom of a major channel, right here at the bottom of this channel. So although it looks, the price is dropping right now, if you're zoomed in. So although it looks like it's just going to fall off a cliff if you don't know what you're doing, everything from a technical perspective is telling us that these markets are oversold, that people are freaking out, that they're being irrational, that they're panic selling when we're on major support. Even if we remove all our drawing tools here and grab the rectangle tool to draw support and resistance, look at all this support right here on Ethereum. This is not a place to be a bear. Even if it was to drop a little bit lower, like let's say Ethereum hit 1600 and came down a little bit lower in the support area. This is not a place to be taking major selling positions. This is where you should be scaling into the market, not panic selling and freaking out. You should be slowly taking buys continuously on the support level, because this is where it's undervalued. If you wanted to take profits, you should have been taking profits at resistance up here when we were at an all-time high resistance. So for people that are panic selling their crypto in extreme fear, for people that think that this is just going to be the biggest bear market ever, that are calling for ridiculously low targets, pull up a chart and zoom out. Like, look at this market in the big picture, because it will tell you exactly what's happening. This market is oversold. I've been doing this since 2016. I've seen people freak out and say the sky is falling and drop angry comments on my YouTube videos for 9+ years. I know what it looks like when people are being irrational. And this is not a place where people are being irrationally bullish. This is a place where people are being irrationally bearish. That's what they're doing. You pull up any chart and it's oversold, not overbought. Like, look at Litecoin, okay? Let's pull up Litecoin. So anyways, to finish your Ethereum request, this is major support here. Watch for a bounce, okay? Watch for some type of reaction off that support. Let's pull up Litecoin, okay? Just keep accumulating. It's oversold, not overbought. Look at Litecoin, okay? If we pull up Litecoin here on the daily time frame and pull up that rectangle tool again, our major support level is right here. Let's switch it to green to indicate support. Litecoin is on a major horizontal support level going all the way back to our bottom in 2018. This is not overbought. The fear and greed index would still be like in the middle here, or even all the way at the top if we were at the top of a bull market headed into a bear market. We're at the bottom of a bear market. It's so easy to see. It doesn't take a genius to see this. We're so undervalued, it's ridiculous for Litecoin. I mean, pull up, let's pull up MicroStrategy. MSTR. Okay, MicroStrategy. This thing is not overbought. It was overbought back here. MicroStrategy, just as an example of a stock that's associated with crypto, did 5 waves up here and an ABC correction. Really, the only thing you have to ask yourself is whether this C wave is going to go a little bit lower, like this, or whether the bottom is in right now. Because it could be. This bottom right here at $105 could be the bottom for MicroStrategy. Or it could go a little bit lower. But the fact of the matter is we're nearing the bottom of a typical ABC correction, the market was overvalued over here. It's undervalued now. So yeah, if you want to talk about the short term, yeah, the volatility can increase. The price could go slightly lower, like a little bit lower. But fact of the matter is that you should be scaling in, not taking selling positions. People are freaking out. They're really being completely irrational. They're trying to get out of this market when they should be scaling in. They're panic selling. This is classic, just total panic selling in the market. It's so easy to see. De Gomez says, hit the thumbs up button, everyone. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. My man, great start to the day for me. Well, thank you for tuning in. Glad that you're finding value in this stream. Let's pull up XRP BTC because it's been requested in the chat, and that's one that I've actually been telling people. This is so bullish. Like, do you realize how bullish XRP versus BTC is? Look at this thing. Does this look overvalued to you? No. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to pull this chart up and look at the 8-day time frame and zoom out over multiple years and see that this is what overvalued looks like and this is what undervalued looks like. This is pretty basic stuff. You don't have to be a genius. Let's pull up Litecoin versus BTC because we were looking at it versus the dollar, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that Litecoin versus Bitcoin is undervalued. Let's pull it up on the, I believe it's Bitfinex. We'll have all of the historical data. This thing is in a massive falling wedge. Why do you think it's been accumulating sideways for 8 years? Litecoin is a perfect opportunity down here at 0.0007. This is such a good buy. Falling wedge pattern right here. Big wedge too, going all the way back to basically when it first got added to Bitfinex. We broke bullish out of the wedge, and now we're accumulating sideways. This thing is set up to rocket ship versus Bitcoin. No wonder Litecoin looks so good versus the dollar when you zoom out and you're looking at Litecoin versus the dollar, like we were looking at that major support level. But let's not look at that, even though it is true. Litecoin looks amazing versus the dollar if you're comparing it to a classic accumulation cycle, for example, NVIDIA, before NVIDIA went to the moon. And I know people don't want to see this. I don't know if you guys have ever read Plato's allegory of the cave. Basically, Plato, if you don't know about Plato, he was a genius. Plato is talking about how people were inside of this cave, okay? Think of a bunch of people inside of a cave, and there was a fire lit inside the behind them in the cave. So every time, and there was an opening behind them, okay, and their backs are up against the wall. So all they see, the people that are stuck in this cave, because of the fire, there's light shining on the wall. All they can see is the wall. They're tied down. All they can see is the wall. They can't see the opening behind them. They can't see the fire. They just see the lighting on the wall. Well, as people walk by the cave entrance, they see the shadows on the wall, right? And this is all that these people have ever seen their whole life that are tied down in this cave, okay? Well, some guy gets free. He breaks free from the cave. And he goes out and he sees the real world. Grass and like beautiful colors everywhere, and people and water to swim in, and this whole world, right? He comes back to the people in the cave to try to set them free and tell them, hey, look, there's a whole world out there, but all they see because of that fire right here burning, all they've seen is those shadows. They don't even believe him. They think he's crazy. They actually want to kill him for telling them that there's a whole world out there aside from the shadows on the wall. So when I show people this about Litecoin, for example, I understand that I'm dealing with statistics. 90% of people fail in markets. Why? Because they follow the crowd. They don't understand technical analysis. They don't understand market cycles. They don't understand accumulation. They don't understand markets. 90% of people fail in the markets. 90% of people are like those people stuck in a cave seeing the shadows on the wall. So if you try to tell them the truth about what's coming in the market, they're already going to have such a established preconceived idea of what's going to happen that they'll think that you're straight up crazy. Like people, when I show people this right here, that Litecoin is following the same type of accumulation pattern that happened to new technologies. For example, Nvidia, before Nvidia became a household name. Crypto is set up to be mass adopted by the public, to be a household name, something everyday people use. It's no surprise that the fractals and the cycles look exactly like internet companies or major tech companies or home computing companies. Well, they were being accumulated before they became household names, before it became something everybody knows about and everybody uses. So yeah, I know when I tell people Litecoin is stupid bullish and it's going to straight break out and go vertical and it's on major support and it's undervalued, I know most people, 90% of people think that I've lost my marbles, but they're just like those people in Plato's allegory of the cave, that all they've seen is shadows on the walls and they don't know how to receive something so crazy. Imagine trying to tell people that people would be FaceTiming each other across the world and be able to communicate with each other on their cell phones, this little device in their hands, and they'd be able to watch videos and learn and basically have the Library of Alexandria times a million in their pocket in the 1800s. They would have killed you. And this isn't quite that extreme of a gap, but telling people that crypto is set up for mass adoption, that it's going to break free out of this pump and dump pattern that it's done for the past 8+ years, is pretty. It's still similar to trying to tell people that iPhones will become a thing if you go back in time to the 1800s and try to explain that to people. It's not as quite as big of a time gap or technology gap. People are a little bit more accepting of new ideas and new technologies, but I'm definitely not working with the common consensus and what's popular or cool to believe by telling people this. The fact of the matter, Litecoin right now is exactly like buying Nvidia right here at like 30 cents a share before Nvidia broke out of this basically 5 to 6 year cycle pump and dump pattern into a full-blown bull market and broke free from that whole typical pump and dump pattern, accumulation pattern is what it really was that was happening before. And it's not just Litecoin. Bitcoin itself, for example, if we pull up Bitcoin on Coinbase, Bitcoin itself is doing the same thing that Apple did. So buying Bitcoin is basically the Apple computers of the blockchain space. That's really what it is. Like investing in Bitcoin, the volume, Apple was the biggest company. It was what everybody was talking about during the adoption of the internet bubble, right? Or during the adoption after the internet bubble and home computing bubble, when it became a household name and not just a big bubble. So it's no surprise to me that Apple and Bitcoin look so similar in terms of volume. Look at that. Same volume profile. 2008 looks almost exactly like 2021. Here's the internet bubble. Here's a 2017 Bitcoin bubble. If you zoom in, there's a big crash on Apple right here. It doesn't look very big. And crypto is a little bit more volatile. But we do have a crash right here too. And, you could even compare this crash right here to this one right here, which is a pretty fair comparison as well. Let's do this like this. So you can see the similarities between early day Apple here, before Apple became a household name, as it was becoming a household name, when big institutions were accumulating it, and what's happening with Bitcoin right now. This crash right here, super similar to this. So when people tell me, that I'm crazy for being bullish on crypto, I'm like, okay, whatever, You can have your own opinions, but I'm going to look at what's actually true and follow that, because this market will blow people away. If they would just buy the dip, if they just stop freaking out and buy the dip, they would they'd be totally blown away by what's coming in this market. It's pretty easy to see. It's pretty clear if you don't have a preconceived idea of what's going to happen. This one time Bank of America crashed all the way to $2.53 per share. I don't really know why you say that, but I guess I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Litecoin, let's go Litecoin. Yeah, Litecoin is cool. Banks suck. Yeah, banks. Crypto is a replacement for not only banking, like the standard banking system, but also our standard fiat system. But also all of our current system for handling like real estate documentation and even databases and servers are more secure when they use blockchain technology. So crypto has the potential. In my opinion, people are super excited about AI right now. They're really excited about AI. But in my opinion, crypto really is a bigger invention than AI. Like they'll end up going hand in hand, but in terms of market cap, like what crypto is more ready, AI is still a ways off. I know people have crazy predictions about AI. AI is in a big bubble, to be honest with you. AI needs more development than crypto does. Like crypto will end up taking more market cap out of more industries in the next X amount of years in the near future than AI will. It's set up to do way bigger of a growth than what AI is set up to do. No alt season ever again. Only specific tokens will pump. Well, I completely disagree with you on that. These altcoins are set up to totally pump, man. Totally blow people away. Let's use the Digibyte example again here. Let's pull up Digibyte USD. Digibyte is a fractal of itself, okay? Here's the previous cycle right here on Digibyte that pumped and crashed here in 2018 and 2017. And this green right here that you see in the background is a copy paste. I just took that right there, this pump right here and this dump, and I took it and I moved it over here. And if you look right now, let's stretch this out a little bit. Digibyte is doing a bigger version of the market cycle that happened right here. So if you don't think Digibyte can pump again all the way to a new all-time high like it did right here, you're in for a big surprise when altcoins start to turn around and take off. And no, it's not only going to be a couple altcoins. In a full-blown crypto bull market, people are thinking in terms of risk on. So they seriously do not care about what it is most of the time. People are going to be just piling into everything, funneling all of their money into as many setups as they possibly can in a crypto bull market. And it's not going to matter if it's Digibyte or Litecoin or whatever. There's going to be some coins that do bigger percentage gains. But in a true crypto bull market like 2017 or 2021, which is coming again, it will happen again. People will not care what they're buying. They're going to be buying everything because there's so much hype and so much excitement. So no, that's totally incorrect to think that there's only going to be a few coins, like one or two, that are going to pump when an entire industry is going into a bull market. Scott says, what do you think the yield will be better on, theta or T-Fuel? It'll be better on T-Fuel. The return on investment for theta will be very big, like 55 times or more to the next all-time high. I firmly believe that. But T-Fuel is going to give you a bigger percentage gain. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a little bit of both, right? But T-Fuel will give you a bigger percentage gain than theta will. Same with T-Drop. There's just smaller market cap. It's easier for it to move. It's going to give you a bigger percentage gain than T-Fuel or than theta will. T-Fuel will, and T-Drop will as well. What's your outlook on Toshi, bro? That's my only investment right now, and I'm all in. Well, to be honest with you, Toshi Let's look at the chart first. But the last time I looked at it, I thought I definitely liked it. Yeah, I like this a lot actually. We started to pump off this bottom right here. This actually is basically a big double bottom. I know it went slightly below here just a little bit, but that happens. Like with crypto, especially with altcoins, double bottoms can happen like this where they break a little bit lower than the previous bottom. First low, second low. Sometimes that second low is a little bit lower. Totally normal. Totally something that happens in these markets. Let's pull up the like 4-hour time frame here. Zoom in here. A lot of volume coming in on this right here. That looks really good to see a big spike in volume. We also see bullish divergence going all the way back here. Big higher low on the MACD while price is going lower, right? So that's a lot of bullish divergence for Toshi. But even zooming out to like the daily time frame, again, this is a big double bottom for this coin. Huge double bottom pattern. Here's our first low. Here's our second low. And also there's bullish divergence even here on the daily. See that? Let's isolate the divergence. So you see a lower low in price, but a big higher low on the MACD, right? So that's a big bullish divergence here for Toshi. That's a huge buy signal. So yeah, I do think we will get a reversal. Like I said, I'm bullish on crypto. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on altcoins. I'm bullish across the board. Bitcoin dominance looks terrible. This does not look good. Like, I'm not saying Bitcoin won't go up because Bitcoin pumps like crazy when Bitcoin dominance is going down. You know why? Because the crypto industry is pumping super hard. That's why people are funneling into altcoins, because altcoins are risk on. They're riskier. So when Bitcoin dominance is dropping down like this, Bitcoin pumps really hard. That happened in 2017 and in 2021. Bitcoin pumped way hard. But altcoins were pumping harder because people were excited about crypto as an industry. So yeah, Bitcoin dominance looks terrible, which is super bullish for crypto as a whole. And by the way, if you invert this chart and just look at it upside down, this is a big bullish ascending triangle here for Bitcoin dominance. In other words, this is a descending triangle. So what I'm telling you is Bitcoin dominance is about to crash because I just flipped this chart upside down. Now, if we flip it back like this, it's a big descending triangle, but sometimes it's nice to flip the scale to get a better perspective of what's happening in the market. And to be honest with you, this looks like it's ready to totally pump. In other words, dump, because I flipped the chart upside down and inverted the scale. So Bitcoin dominance is really ready to fall off a cliff, which is super, super bullish for crypto as an industry. All of the most profitable times, the most bullish times ever for crypto as an industry, Bitcoin dominance was falling off a cliff, like 2017 and 2021. So that's super bullish for crypto. Glad I was able to catch your live stream. Love your bullish outlook. Have you looked at Chia chart lately? Let's pull it up. I actually don't know if I've ever done analysis on Chia before. Okay, here's a question to ask yourself. Does this look overvalued or undervalued? Like if you were brand new to investing and you knew that buying the dip is what you're supposed to do, would you see this as an opportunity to buy or sell? Clearly, this is not an opportunity to sell down here. This is clearly an opportunity to buy. Chia. This is so undervalued from the peak here. This was worth $2,475 at one point, and it's worth $2. If that doesn't give you perspective on how undervalued a lot of these coins are, I don't know what will. This is clearly extremely undervalued. We're also moving into like a a despair or a capitulation. That's what this is right here, is a capitulation event where people are totally panic selling. By the way, decreasing volume and price is bullish. So do you see how volume is dropping off and price is dropping off right here? That tells you that this is actually ready for a bullish reversal very soon in a significant way. 55x from here for theta, $12 per theta. That's your price prediction. No, I said at least 55x. My personal target for theta is $55. I bought pre 82 pennies by the bags alone. Could Chia be a rug pull? That chart doesn't look good. It's only going down. Okay, you guys, you have to completely, this whole idea of rug pulls, you got to get out of your mind. All right? This is the new thing that people say in crypto. Oh, rug pulled. It's totally bearish. It's a big rug pull, you know. You guys, it's called a market cycle, not a rug pull. Yes, of course, big wells sold, but it's not a rug pull. Have you been in crypto for long enough to know what these charts do? This is what crypto does. Let's ADA for example, okay? This is what ADA looked like after the 2017 pump and the 2018 pullback. Now, if you're new to crypto and you've been hearing about this term called a rug pull, you would see a chart like this and you wouldn't buy it. But if you understand crypto cycles, this is actually exactly what you want to buy. This is what Trump looks like right now. People say, oh, Trump was the biggest rug pull ever. Oh, you know, this coin was the biggest rug pull ever. That coin was the biggest rug pull ever. Well, look at what happens after 90% corrections when something is truly undervalued and the big institutions come in and the big players and they're buying the dip because everybody else is calling it a rug pull. Everybody and their mom is saying that it's dead. Look at what happens. Watch ADA here. Just watch this. Watch the price of ADA. Check this out. It's playing out. Look how crazy that pump is. Totally insane. That pump, totally vertical, all the way to a new all-time high. This is what crypto does. So if you find a chart that looks dead, and everybody's calling it dead, and they all said it was a big rug pull, unless it's some crappy total meme coin that has absolutely no community, then it's probably not a rug pull. You know, it's probably a good time to buy. Like Trump is going to recover. Now, if you go to Dex Screener, see, you could call this a rug pull, or you could buy the dip wherever all the big players are buying. Like if you go to Dex Screener, yeah, we can use the term rug pull because on here every day there's proper rug pulls, you know, like proper, like this was a rug pull. Well, maybe not that one. Let's use a different one. Let's see here. That actually looks kind of good. It looks kind of bullish. Let's see here. That's not a good example either. These are all bigger fractals, so it's harder for me to use these ones. Let's see. Okay, this is a classic rug pull. All right. But even this could recover. That's not even a good example. Let's go like this. Let's go to the top percentage gain in the past 24 hours. All right. And let's find one that's down like a lot in the past hour. Let's look at this one. Okay, this was a rug pull. All right. It pumped really hard. It pulled back. Odds are, because it pumped here on the daily time frame, and you see how it's just a big pump on the daily candlesticks like this with a big wick on top, this is never going to recover. Odds are it will never recover again. On Dex Screener, these meme coins that are total pump and dumps with no real community behind them, total rug pull. Something like Trump, this will recover. This will pump. There's a high probability it will pump even above its previous old all-time high, as crazy as that sounds to most people right now. This will probably pump over $77 per coin. This isn't a rug pull, and neither is Chia. Chia is not a rug pull. I'm telling you, this is not a rug pull. It's extremely dirt cheap. It's extremely undervalued, like ICP. Okay, ICP is not a rug pull. This is a good opportunity to buy ICP. So yeah, if you're playing with total pump and dump meme coins on Dex Screener, where they pump in 24 hours like this, and then they reject on the daily like that, then yeah, 95% of those are proper rug pull. But not most cryptos. Stuff like ICP, stuff like Chia, stuff like Trump, those coins are going to recover. I promise you they will. Sorry, just trying to understand. Theta x55 is basically the last all-time high. Do you mean 55x from the last all-time high? My target is $55 per theta. Last time when I checked on that target, when I made that target, the price was higher than it is right now. So the percentage gain is probably higher. Like if we pull up the logarithmic chart here, which by the way, theta on the log chart looks amazing. We're at the bottom of this major channel. See this? So we hit support here. We're hitting it again here. Just like we hit resistance here and resistance here, we're at the bottom of a major channel. Now, if you measure from current price up to $55, yeah, that's more like 260x now. But when I was originally looking at it, it was up here. It was more like 50x. When I was first looking at it, it was like right. The price was actually, I think, closer to like right here. And yeah, it was more like 50x when I first established my target for it. So yeah, now it's a bigger percentage gain, but I think it could easily hit $55. That's really, if you look on the log scale, $55 is barely above its old all-time high right here. It's not that much higher. And most of the time on the logarithmic chart, you'll see these altcoins break slightly above their previous old all-time high. Like they'll pump like this, they'll pump really hard, but it won't be that much higher than the previous old all-time high, and then they'll start a bear market in terms of looking at it on the log scale. Now, if you look at it on the linear scale, it looks quite a bit higher than the previous old all-time high, right? For it to hit that high. But this is still not crazy. Check this thing out, okay? Looking at theta on the daily candlesticks, let's switch to theta comparing it to Ethereum here on the right. This is not really that crazy. People think, oh, Dallin, you're so crazy for saying theta is going to break out to a new all-time high. Well, theta is a perfect fractal of Ethereum, which, by the way, I called this entire pump on Ethereum all the way to a new all-time high. Perfectly. Like I was screaming and telling people to buy over and over and over and over and over right here on Ethereum. Why? Because of the exact same reason that I'm telling people to buy theta right now. And I called this entire pump on Ethereum. But if you compare these two together, $55 is right here. It's not that crazy to call for $55 per theta. It's really not. In a crypto bull market, when things are breaking above their old all-time highs, not that crazy. And I know everybody's thinking in terms of a bear market, and everybody is super bearish, and they're all totally just crazy bearish right now. But fact of the matter is, that's when you should buy. That's the same thing they were doing right here on Ethereum. That's the same thing that they were doing on ADA. That's the same thing they were doing on a whole bunch of different coins at their previous bear market bottom in 2018 and 2020. But they broke out all the way to a new all-time high. So it's not crazy to be calling for that type of a move on theta. Might be crazy for people that don't have any idea what they're doing. Bro, you are every time super bullish. Well, guess what? Everybody is bearish. And profitable traders and investors go against their crowd. They don't follow what everybody else is doing. They go completely against the crowd because that's what makes you money. Do you think that I followed the crowd when I called Ethereum pumping all the way to a new all-time high from the bottom in 2020 right here? I made a video about Ethereum telling people Ethereum was going to break out to a new all-time high, that it was at the bottom of an ABC correction. But guess what? Everybody thought that it was totally bearish, totally going to go down into a massive bear market for multiple years. They were super bearish right here on Ethereum. But Ethereum broke all the way out to a new all-time high. And I called that entire move. But nobody was bullish. Nobody was. Everybody was so freaking bearish, it was stupid. It was like painful to watch. And they're doing the same thing right now. And by the way, this altcoin bear market has been bigger and longer. People are like, Dallin, you've been bullish on altcoins for like 2-3 years now. Yeah, I have been. I have been bullish on altcoins. And by the way, I called the entire pump too because I was bullish. So for the altcoins that pumped, I called Zcash, I called XMR, I called XRP. For the altcoins that really pumped this recently, I called all of them. For the altcoins that haven't pumped yet, I've been continuously bullish because the pattern is exactly the same. The fractal is exactly the same as what I've seen previously. Again, Digibyte example. It's just a bigger version of what happened right here, which I called this pump on Digibyte too, by the way. All the way up to a new all-time high. I called that pump perfectly on Digibyte. Same fractal of the same thing. Same exact thing. So yeah, I've been bullish on altcoins for multiple years. And I don't care what people think because of course I'm going to continuously be bullish through this entire accumulation pattern because I know that this is what's coming. Just like this happened right here, we're going to have another pump on Digibyte. Another big vertical move. And it's going to be massive. So I don't care when I get hater comments of people saying, you've been bullish on certain altcoins for multiple years. This is a bigger fractal of the same cycle. Of course I've been continuously bullish when the charts are showing the exact same thing as they were previously. Yeah, I'm bullish. I don't care what you think. And yeah, I've been bullish for multiple years. And again, I called XMR, I called silver, I called XRP, I called Zcash, I called Bitcoin all the way over 100K. I was calling for the Bitcoin bottom at 15K. So you guys can send all the hater comments that you want in the comments. Fact of the matter is, you guys don't know what you're talking about if you're bearish on these markets. You really don't. You're totally ignorant of how these markets move. Dark Horse says ridiculous. Exactly, going nowhere. You know what? You can totally believe what you want to believe and say that $55 per theta is impossible. But I'm not going to be here, trying to help you when you come back and tell me that you panic sold all your crypto here in the dip. Brother Boldly Official Music TV says, I was super bullish, but I've been bearish lately, and I feel like BTC will hit 50K, and then boom from there. Are you a Mason, brother? Yes, I am a Freemason. Bitcoin could go slightly lower. I doubt it's going to go much lower if it does. Again, look at the crypto fear and greed index. We're at a 5 on the fear and greed index. This is so undervalued. It's more undervalued than it was when Bitcoin was at 15K before it went all the way to 126,000. We're more undervalued now than we were when Bitcoin was bottoming out in 2022. This is so undervalued and such a good opportunity. It's painful to see all of the people that are bearish right now. All of the comments, all of the people that are just crazy bearish. It literally hurts because I know what's coming. And it's like, you guys are all going to fall for this crap again. You know, you're all going to panic sell. If you're really worried about it going lower, dollar cost average in, you know? No, you're not telling me what I don't want to hear, dark horse. You're literally just coming in here and being bearish without any thesis, any analysis. If you're actually bearish, send me an email with your charts and I'll show you why you're wrong. But don't just come in here and tell me that I'm wrong without even having a thesis. Go make your own YouTube channel and tell everybody how bearish the markets are. If you're so convinced that they're going to go down, you know, go prove it to the world. Go lead everybody down the path of being bearish and watch what happens when this market pumps and you let a whole bunch of people into the total abyss of panic selling their crypto and calling for the fact that theta can't break out to a new all-time high. You're going to eat your words, dude. You know? Go be a hater somewhere else. You're not welcome here. You're not living in reality either, dude. When this market pumps, you're going to wake up and it's going to be a harsh reality for you panic selling in major total fear. Let's see here. What's your opinion on the catalyst for starts this bull market moonshot? I don't know what you mean. Oh, what's going to catalyze this bull market starting? The fact that it's super undervalued. That's really what matters. People think there has to be some news event. People think that there has to be some quantitative easing. People think there has to be some hyperinflation. You know what matters? The charts. This is what Wall Street is looking at. This is what the big players are looking at. They're looking at Litecoin right now, just as an example of an altcoin. And they look at Litecoin and they say, look, Litecoin is on a major horizontal support level. That's all they care about. They see that it's used to be worth $414 and it's worth $51 and that everybody's panic selling and everybody's bearish and we're in extreme fear. That's literally the only thing that they're looking at is the chart. Is it undervalued in terms of price? Is it overvalued in terms of price? That's what they're looking at. You know, this is the same thing, by the way, that happened on silver. Okay? When silver hit $12 per ounce, I posted on my in my Discord, in my VIP area in my Discord, telling everybody to buy silver, telling everybody it was extremely undervalued and that it was going to break out to a new all-time high. I posted on my trading view publicly on my trading view when silver was worth $12 an ounce. You know why? Because of the cycle. It was worth $49 up here. $12 an ounce was obviously undervalued. This is what big institutions, it's super simple. This is what they're looking at. They said, you know what? $12 an ounce is undervalued. It's a big ABC correction. It looks exactly like the NASDAQ at the bottom of the internet bubble, because that's exactly what it looked like. And they started buying silver at that level. And if you look right here, look, it really did look exactly like the NASDAQ at the bottom of the internet bubble. So yeah, of course I posted to buy silver right here because it was worth $12. This is what I'm trying to get in people's heads, that they're just not willing to accept. I mean, look at theta, okay? Let's pull up theta. Let's keep silver on the left and we'll pull up theta on the right this time, okay? If you look at theta in terms of price, is this thing overvalued or undervalued? Is it like silver at $12 or silver at $50 per ounce? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that theta is like silver at $12 per ounce, down here at 20 cents per coin. It doesn't take a genius. It takes somebody who's humble enough to see the charts for what they are, childlike enough, not childish, to see this market for what it really is. But too many people have massive opinions, massive egos. They're totally unwilling to see this market for what it is. They already have an idea of what it's going to do. Just totally massive egos. and totally rigid opinions about what it's going to do based on, oh, the 4-year cycle top, everybody sell. Come on, you guys. Seriously? Trolls are on prowl today. Must be tough having no life. No kidding, man. The haters right now are so high. The last time I got this many haters is when I was telling people Bitcoin was in the. Actually, I've gotten a lot of haters running this channel because fact of the matter is, you guys, 90% of people lose money in this market. So you literally have to constantly go against the crowd. So I get haters all the time. When Bitcoin right here is worth 50K and I was telling everybody it was the bottom, you have no idea how many people told me it was going to hit 30K or 20K per coin over and over and over again. In fact, they were so angry, they were rude, they literally were just total haters in the comments. And I was like, you guys, you can sell your crypto here, but Bitcoin's going to break out. It's in a cup and handle. It's going to break out to a new all-time high. It's going to reach over 100,000 per coin. And that's exactly what happened. Pump all the way to 126,000 per coin. But the haters were crazy right here. And right now it's the same thing. Why? Because I'm always bullish when this is really low. Fear and greed is really low. And it's clearly in a big correction. Of course I'm going to be bullish. I'm going to go against the crowds. So of course a bunch of people are going to be trolling and totally hater in the comments. Checkered floor, what does that mean for you? Well, first of all, the checkered floor means that there's good and evil, right? There's good and bad, there's light and darkness, like the duality of life is the basic meaning of the checkerboarded floor. There's more to it than that, but essentially, there's opposition in life. For all the good that there is, there's also bad. So it's just the truth that the world has both good and bad in it. Light and darkness. That's a reality of life, right? So that's basically what the checkerboarded floor means essentially in Masonry. MDT. Let's pull up MDT here. What is up, Conscious Contact? Good to see you tuning in, my brother. Measurable data token. Let's go to the let's go to like the 10-day time frame and look. You know what? Let's go even a little bit lower here. 3-day. There we go. This is a perfect kind of correction here, okay? So if we look at MDT here, this is a big LE wave correction. We have wave A right here, wave B right here, and wave C right here. And you can actually break down the subwaves really easily here. You have wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 wave down, which happens between 0 and A. Then you have 5 waves down again, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. And then you have an ABC up right here. A, B, and C. Perfect. So this is a perfect ABC correction. These are all the subwaves here. And in fact, you should technically drop these down to smaller waves so that it's easy to distinguish between the subwaves and the major waves. But basically what I'm saying is this has completed a typical ABC correction. A, B, and C. And by the way, if we bring up the MACD, did I remove the MACD? No, I think I accidentally deleted my MACD indicator. Let's add the MACD here. There's a bunch of bullish divergence as well, right? Lower lows in price, higher lows on the MACD. This looks amazing. Looks really good here with MDT. Tam says, I love your streams. Well, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in and showing all the constant support on my X account and in these streams. It means a lot to receive support from you guys, especially when a lot of people are being haters right now because they have like really rigid opinions about the markets. It's like, thank you guys for being ride or die. It's nice. But a Mason who should observe, let's see. But we are seeing them, so we are beyond good and evil, right? But a Mason who should observe all of those. So I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism and a lot of different religions and philosophies and Greek philosophers and like really deep into a lot of that stuff. Okay. So I understand the concept of non duality. Um, but the fact of the matter is, it's kind of a half truth, right? Because non duality is a reality in the sense that evil is working for the good ultimately. Because without resistance, we couldn't grow. Without opposition, we wouldn't have any way to grow to become better. But it's also true that there is resistance and opposition. So it's like kind of both are true. Things are both dual and non dual at the same time, which is kind of out there for a lot of people, but it's really true. We wouldn't be able to grow, we wouldn't be able to learn without tasting the bitter as well as the sweet, without having the opposition, the good, the bad, the joy, the pain. It all has to be part of it. So technically it is one whole, but there's still, we still need to be able to discern between good and bad people or good and bad actions and those kinds of things. For me, myself, I'm actually a Christian. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I was born into it. I left Christianity pretty young to go into atheism and all of that kind of worldview and stuff, but then I had some powerful spiritual experiences that really showed me that there's definitely a God and that he loves us and that he cares about us and that there is order in the universe and it's not just random and meaningless, right? So I do believe in God. I'm also, like I said, I'm a Freemason. I've been a Mason for a couple of years now, and I ended up I came back to my faith in Jesus Christ and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then I became a Mason shortly after. But I love other religions too. Like I said, I practice meditation every day. I do Tai Chi and I'm into yoga, and like Hinduism and Buddhism are really, really fascinating for me. And there's a lot of truth in them that I really incorporate into my worldview as well. I just believe in truth, right? Wherever I can find it, if it's from Plato, if it's from Pythagoras, if it's from Joseph Smith, if it's from Jesus Christ, if it's from the Buddha, like I literally will take truth from anywhere that I can find it and incorporate it into my life and use it as a guide through life to be a better person. Funny, in 2021, Bitcoin stayed at the same area, then alts just pumped like crazy. Something seems to be showing on others' BTC. Yeah, it is different in a really good way. It's actually cool because we haven't had a big alt season pump yet, and we're gonna have that. Like, that's one of the things that makes it so easy to see that this market is heavily undervalued, right? Because we haven't had the big drop off in Bitcoin dominance that always happens before a true peak in the cycle, right? Like the peak of the 2017 cycle was right here at the very bottom of this Bitcoin dominance drop off. And the peak of the 2021 cycle, 2022, I guess, in this case, was right here at the bottom of the Bitcoin dominance drop. And we haven't had that yet. Bitcoin dominance is overvalued right now, like it was right here and here, right? So Bitcoin dominance is about to drop off a cliff. Bitcoin's about to pump really hard, just not as hard as the altcoins. Stuff like XRP BTC is going to start pumping. Stuff like LTC BTC, stuff like ETH BTC. Basically, all of your favorite altcoins versus Bitcoin is set up for a massive pump in a very profound way. And that tells you that we're headed into a big, very bullish crypto bull market, and I'm super excited about it. With love and respect. Yeah, I agree, man. Love and respect is the fundamental principle of human relations. If you can't love and respect each other, you can't have a good relationship. If you don't respect each other, if you don't treat each other well, it's not even worth your time to try to, So it's fundamental to human relations and really just how we should treat each other as people. Let me tell you guys, when you have a 5 on the Fear and Greed Index, no way you don't start buying. Not financial advice. Dude, I agree 100%, man. Like, people need to be buying as much crypto as possible. This is such a good buy. It's crazy. Better late than never. Let me see if are you talking about something else and I missed your other message here. That's usually how it starts. Oh, I guess you're talking about the altcoin pump. Yeah, better late than never for sure. I agree. Can you cover H bar TA, please? The only one that I believe in Elliott Wave, just trying to learn more. Sure. H bar is a really bullish coin. So I know you say it's the only one you believe in. I'm more of a bull for the crypto industry as a whole instead of just H bar. I don't really believe in going like only believing in one coin, just because if you look at what happened to the internet, a whole bunch of internet stocks recovered from the internet bubble and grew with the actual adoption of the internet. You know, Amazon, Apple, all of these companies that were associated with the internet bubble, they all grew and recovered. And because there's so much volume in crypto, we will have more coins than just like one pumping when stuff starts to pump. But I totally respect believing that H bar is maybe one of the best because it's a really good buy. H bar is incredible. From an Elliott Wave perspective, it's very simple, super simple. We have 5 waves up here. So wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That was our pump in 2021, followed by a typical ABC correction. A, B, and C. Perfect ABC correction down. And then we had another 5-wave structure here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have an ABC correction again. A, B, and C. So this is at the bottom of an Elliott Wave ABC correction. We're oversold on the MACD. We should see a very strong bullish reversal like this, all the way up above this peak and above this peak here. And actually what's really cool about this too is H-bar is a pretty similar fractal as what happened to Amazon. So speaking of internet stocks that recovered after the internet bubble, if you take a look at Amazon is, man, it looks a lot like H-bar. You can see here's H-bar on the left and Amazon over there on the right. Here's the internet bubble right here. Here's 2008. Here is H-bar pump and dump bubble basically in 2021. Here is our recent crash, which is very similar to 2008. So buying H-bar right now is a super good buy. In fact, crypto in comparison to the stock market, really good buy. I still see a lot of stocks, like the stock market as a whole, should continue to break out. But there's a lot of tech stocks that are overvalued. So a lot of really smart people are actually taking profits on some of their tech stocks and moving into crypto. You know, Dow Jones will keep going up here. It's likely it will keep pumping up a little bit higher before the true top. But some of these tech stocks are a little bit really looking kind of overvalued. It's not like they can't go higher here, but crypto is way more undervalued than a lot of these tech stocks. So smart investors are taking profits on stuff like Amazon and even on Apple, and they're moving it into stuff like crypto and even like gold and silver and stuff like that. Yay, I'm glad to catch you live. Well, welcome to the stream. I'm already an hour and 13 minutes in, so unfortunately I'm not going to go much longer here. This guy says, I drowned at age 8 to 9, and an angel saved me from the bottom of a river, so I've never questioned if there's something on the other side. That is a really cool story. Thank you for sharing that personal story with us here. Yeah, there's stuff that's happened in my life where it's just like I can't deny the existence of a supreme being anymore. He would be like totally crazy to say that there isn't a God for me. So thank you for sharing that. That's really awesome. All good. I'll catch you on the rerun. Well, yeah, thank you for tuning in. That was my last coin for the day, H-bar. Super bullish. I think it'll break out above its local high and its all-time high. Bitcoin dominance looking weaker every day. Altcoin, Bitcoin pairs looking more bullish every day. Total crypto market cap in the big picture looking very bullish. Looks like I accidentally deleted the volume. But let's throw the volume back on here. Looking very bullish here. Increasing price and volume is bullish, and that's exactly what we've seen through all of this, right? Increasing price and volume. Not without some corrections like here and here, and even here. But fact of the matter, crypto is super bullish here. Like the total crypto market cap's going to keep growing, and keep breaking out. So big things are coming for crypto. Thank you guys so much for taking some time today out of your Thursday to tune into my live stream. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos and in future live streams. Don't believe the FUD. Don't believe the fear. Don't believe all the haters. Don't believe all the people that are bearish. Just buy the dip. We're at a 5 on the fear and greed. Like, this is such an obvious buy. It's ridiculous. Catch you guys later. And as always, stay profitable out there.